Here they are, and here's where we're going to plant them. Hi friends, welcome to Sunflower Hill, or welcome back. Either way, you're very welcome. I'm Tina and I'm a single mum homesteading here in Australia. I'm in the southern part of Australia, so quite a different climate to the north or the arid parts of Australia. We're a cool temperate climate here, and it's summer. It's the very beginning of summer. So this week has been all about getting the seedlings, the veggie seedlings, out of the bus greenhouse. And if you didn't see the bus video, the greenhouse bus video, right at the end of this video there'll be a link you can follow to have a look at that. So I'm going to get all the seedlings that have been thriving in that greenhouse out and acclimatise them to the sort of ambient conditions, and then get them into the ground. I shouldn't say I'm going to, I did. That's what I did over the last week, and that's what I'm going to show you right now. So let's get to it. My first step in transferring all these plants outside to where they're going to grow is to sort out what's ready to go out and what's not. And what is ready to go out, these tomatoes for instance, are looking pretty ready to me. I'm going to acclimatise them to a cooler environment by just sitting them out in the bus in a box. Basically, it's that simple. So that's just what I'm going to do now. I'm going to get myself an empty one of these polystyrene boxes and put everything that's ready to go out into a polystyrene box and just sit it out in the bus. So let's get to it. So these little guys, I don't even know if that's going to come up, and obviously the downside of this is that I'm going to lose their spots. So actually I'll take out the ones that are ready. Yeah, that could use a little bit more. Something like this the snails would eat in one night. I have tried to mitigate the snail situation just by getting rid of them by hand, feeding them to the chooks. But something like this, it just needs to go out. So that's a cucumber. I'll take these ones that a lot of these can still, these are little succata melons and they really like warmth. I'm actually tempted to just keep growing these in here. But these tomatoes are ready to rock and roll in the big wide world. So take them out, pop them here. Okay. It's just, I'm really just taking out anything that's used up its growing space in here and really wants to go out. And these clearly do. The rest of these I think could stay in here a bit longer. These tomatoes here obviously need some kind of repotting. I put a lot of seeds in not thinking they'd all germinate, and yeah, they all germinated. So there's a lot of tomatoes in one little punnet. Over here in this kitty litter tray, there's a lot of tomatoes in these as well. I'm going to take out these guys. These are what are you? You're obviously some kind of pumpkin. Well, they can go in the pumpkin growing area. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. We'll just put them in the pumpkin growing area. They have to be got going now anyway. They need a bit more growing season than if I leave them much longer. They won't have probably enough time. So I'm going to keep going on this, and then I will show you what I have done when I've done it. Cats are here helping. They love this little house. It's nice and warm in the bus. And they love helping, don't you, Jude? He loves helping. Beatty just likes the bus. Alright. So I've set up these plants in here. They're acclimatising extremely well. It's like 2 days later and they're all looking pretty fabulous. There's lots of stuff in here. Tomatoes, I think those are zucchinis. And what else is in here? Yeah, lots of zucchinis and pumpkins, but they look fabulous. They look really good. So in this other box over here, we've got a snail, you little bugger. Get that off. We've got beans, we've got these sunflowers, which are looking much happier. They really needed a lot more light, so I might take the rest out and put them out here as well. But they've sort of, it's hard to describe, but they're sort of solidified. They're not lanky and searching for light anymore. And there's beans in here, and there's some pumpkins as well. These are, I think most of those pumpkins are called winter squashes. Winter squash, it's just kind of really means pumpkin. Okay, so that's it for now, but we have had very, very wet, stormy weather, and it is still quite warm. It's quite hot in here. It's really humid and clammy. So that would be, the plants will be loving that. And they're doing really well. Okay, so these have acclimatized really well now, and they're still looking really good. We've got 2 boxes of plants to plant out today, and there's a heap more stuff in the greenhouse that I really actually want to get these veggies out of the greenhouse now, because we're getting consistently much warmer weather, and because I want the greenhouse for growing on some other things, some plants that I want to sell, to be quite honest. So today we're going to plant out these ones that I have already acclimatized just in the bus in general, and get them growing in the gardens, because it's so late now. It's so late in the season. It's nearly the start of summer. So they really need to go straight in now and get going. I mean, look at them. They're looking fantastic. They look really great. So hopefully they should take off if the snails don't eat them down to nothing. Bonus of waiting this long is that they've got a good head start, and it's a lot less likely that snails are just going to eat them down to nothing. Tomatoes shouldn't be eaten by snails at all. They're pretty impervious to most stuff like that. They do have their own pests, but not those sort of common things. So let's get out to the gardens and do that. And also let's clear out the rest of these. Anything that hasn't germinated, I'll probably leave in there. But anything that's up and growing, I'm going to put out here. But firstly, let's get out and plant these into the gardens. Some of these are going up the top where I show you in that run up the top in the emporium, but others are actually going down to the pumpkin growing area, which is not an area that I've particularly made a video about before. So let's go have a look. Here they are. And here's where we're going to plant them. Alright, so this is where we're going to be planting into. There's been quite a lot of work done on this area over the last month. This is my pumpkin growing area. The girls are, what's happened is that I did mulch all this. I loosened it and mulched it, but the wheat straw that I used to mulch it with has now grown wheat. So the girls are just doing that while I'm filming. I'm going to go and join them, just pulling out the wheat. It's very easy to pull out. So that wheat will now become the mulch. It'll dry out and become the mulch. And this is an area that I've used for the last 4 or 5 years to grow pumpkins. I did show it in my first tour. So the ducks are just up there. We've just walked through the ducks orchard to get here, and the second chicken emporium is just there. So they are out here all winter, but they're not at the moment. And I'm thinking I'm just gonna turn all this into orchard and just have distinct mounds, and during the year I'll just do literally piles of compost. I don't know how that's going to work with the chooks. I'm actually thinking, yeah, I've got an idea. I'll show you guys when I get to it. Anyway, let's get these poor little things planted. Kids are using the hand tools, so I'm using my hands. It's been pretty well dug already, but it does need, it's been a bit roughly dug. When you put seedlings in, they really do need some nice, loose, friable soil so they can get going in it. So these are clearly pumpkins. Oh. These are clearly pumpkins because pumpkin seeds. That's what they've come from. I'm making sure I put the mulch back around them and giving them the best possible start. And I'm putting as much of the original potting soil in as I can, or the media that they grew in. I'm trying to disturb them as little as possible. Now, what I've got over here, I thought was buckwheat, but okay, so what we've got growing here, I thought was all buckwheat because I didn't look too closely, but actually this is buckwheat, and I did do a broadcast of buckwheat here. But these little guys here are clearly not buckwheat. You can see they're totally different plants, and I couldn't understand what was going the rooster. I couldn't understand what was going on until I thought back and realized that I actually broadcasted a whole heap of chia seeds as well. So this is actually chia, which I didn't expect to do this well. It's coming up and growing really happily, so we'll see how that goes. The buckwheat does really well, I can definitely attest to that. And I might put in some B-roll of the buckwheat I grew in this spot last year. It was all through this whole area and it just went nuts. So definitely buckwheat works absolutely really well in this climate over summer. But obviously chia is going to do quite well too. So I've also put this sprinkler in here. Very simple, it's just one of those ones that goes round and round and round, and I can just bring the hose through from over there where it sits at the fence there. It comes from up at the house. Whoop, comes from up at the house up there and just goes down here, and I'll just connect it to this. And this, I know from last year I used one of these down here. It covers this whole area where I've got veggies in, so that should be good. Okay, the kids are a bit done, they've left. And the koalas are going mental, doing their spring thing in the tree next door, and the chooks have been going mental, but we've got all of those things planted, and here comes one of my kids with the hose. So I'm now going to water it all in. It's looking pretty good. Let's leave it there for now, and then tomorrow, well, not the next day will be up, but tomorrow or next weekend I'll plant up the top run, and we'll have a look at that. And there's actually a lot more plants than I thought. Of course, there always is. Thank you, darling. Can you start that, and I'll just finish talking and I'll just gently water them. Thank you very much. Yeah, like that. That's great. Okay. On that note, I'm going to leave this video for now because I reckon we've done a great job, and I think we deserve a break. So we're going to go inside and have some lunch and a bit of a sit down. All right. Thank you, everyone. I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, it's the next day and we're going to go and see how they're going. So let's just wander down here to the pumpkin growing area, and let's just see how they're going. That one looks a bit droopy. Actually, all the ones along here look a little bit droopy. They're okay. They're still looking a bit droopy. But all the other ones actually look really good. That one looks great. This one, yeah, no, they look good. Still, some of them are a little bit droopy from the transplant. These beans, the bigger leaves are droopy, but the new growth looks good. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I think they're, I came out earlier and they looked even better. I actually think it's the sun and their roots aren't really in enough yet to keep pumping water to them. So hopefully they'll keep looking okay. I find the best way to transplant seedlings and give them the best start is to just plant them into a bit of compost so they can just get a really, really good start. So I'm just grabbing a bit of a pot of compost here and some water, and we'll go and get the seedlings from the bus and go up the top and plant them. So I've got a pot of compost to actually put the seedlings straight into, and this is a bucket of water with a little bit of seaweed fertilizer in it to really give them a bit of a boost. Looks like the water's up to about there, which is better. It was down there. So all this rain, it's up to about there. Still need a lot more rain as it's not full. There's the top up there. This is my house water tank. It's the water for my house. So drinking, washing, everything. So I'm going to put these little tomatoes out, and I'm going to show you how I very gently get the roots separated so that we can plant them separately rather than in a great big clump, which wouldn't work so well. Let's, oh no, I was going to put this bean in, but there's another one next to it that's just germinating now. So we'll give that a little bit longer. These are all great. I'm just going to let them acclimatise a little bit in here, and then over the next week I'm going to plant the rest of these out. But let's go and do these now. So the safest way to get seedlings, I'm going to take my hat off in here, it's quite nice in here. So the safest way to get seedlings out of a pot like this where they're all really close together is to use water. The safest way to get any plant where you want to disentangle the roots from something or remove old substrate from the roots, the safest way is to do it in water. Now this is going to be used to water in these plants. I'm going to plant these what it will probably be too closely together, but I don't expect all of them to make it. That's just kind of how it works. So this water is going to get full of soil now, but that's okay because I'm just going to use it to water these in anyway. So you can see the roots are really tangled up together, and they're also quite fine, so we don't want to lose that whole root system. And there's a little guys in there, so we'll just gently, well, some of these are just falling off anyway. If they want to do that, they can just sit in there in the compost, but these ones I'm going to soak the soil off, and that will give me the best chance of separating them without wrecking the roots. And we're going to have a little collateral damage here. Things like this, it's just too little. I'm not even going to, I've got so many tomato seedlings, I'm not even going to worry about that. So if we very gently float them apart, then you can see they come apart without losing too much root system. It's not going to be perfect. You're going to lose some roots, but the water really reduces the shock quite a lot. So I'll just keep washing and floating it apart here. And some of those roots are actually physically tangled, so I'm going to have to just do that. But you can see that's come off with most of the root system, and it's really, really wet, which is great. So I'm just going to put these guys back in the punnet, and I'm actually going to leave them in the water. They'll be fine in there. So as I pull each one out, I'm going to plant it. And they're right underneath this trellis here, which is, yes, it is just an old bit of fencing. It's how we roll around here, reuse things. And you can see in here the worms. There's heaps and heaps of worms in this soil, lots and lots of them. So good healthy soil. Come down so closer. You can see how many worms there are in this soil. It's really, really nice soil. There's a lot of, I'm trying to avoid hurting them. There's an awful lot of compost and mulch in here over, about 4 years I think I've been using this run, and I'm literally just going to do that. And then I will take these out of the water, and I'm just going to gently water that in with some of that seaweed solution. Obviously very important to water it in. Again, for the root system, again to just ease that transition for the roots. You're not watering in because it needs water. You're doing it for the, now this is just a throwaway one. I'm going to chuck it in. It will almost certainly die, but hey, might as well chuck it in. Hey, give it a crack. I should have brought a smaller container. That's all that one will need anyway. I'll do it. I'll give it a tiny bit like this. There. So that's really all there is to it. Back in the water, gently teasing them apart. See, they're coming apart very easily because they're literally just being floated apart. And the water just sort of eases the roots apart without damaging them. It's the same way I do the leeks and anything else that's grown like this. So I'm not going to take too many out at once because then the roots will dry out. So I'm going to whack the rest of these in, and then I'm pretty much done. And we'll go. It's wrong. And I forgot, in the excitement of seeing those worms, I forgot to put some compost in. That's normally what I do to just give them a good start. Literally sit them in compost. Hold that there, compost, and then put the soil back around them. And then water, of course. Okay, something else I forgot to mention, and in fact forgot to do with the first couple, is with tomato seedlings, it's good to plant them really deep. So they are capable, tomatoes are capable of growing roots on their stems. They're incredible plants. And if you plant them right deep, down deep, not like this, I will actually cover this a bit because then we get roots all the way along that initial stem rather than just at the bottom, and that just makes for a much stronger plant. So plant them down to where the bare stem ends, and so you've just got green at the top. And over here you can see that one. You just want the green, the leaves coming out. Okay friends, it's been an absolute pleasure sharing this with you. Actually really happy to have got my it's basically the rest of my spring jobs done. I don't know if you can see me under this hat, but it's quite bright, so I need this. So it's been great finishing off these last bit of the spring jobs and getting these things planted out. I'll put the rest out over the next week or so. I'm pleased in a lot of ways that I left all of that in the shed, because the things I planted out earlier the snails got to, whereas the stuff in the shed is now really, really well shed. What am I saying? The bus greenhouse. I'm glad I left things in there to keep going, because they're big and strong now, and once they've recovered from their transplant shock, the weather at the moment is just absolutely perfect for this job. It's in the low 20s, the highest temps during the day, which is perfect. And we had a day of absolutely belting down rain, which was fabulous. We were supposed to get 3 days, so that would have been even better, but anyway, we got 1, and then we got some days of drizzle after that, so it's quite humid at the moment. Yeah, it does get, if it rains and is warm, of course it's going to be humid, and it is at the moment. It's really uncomfortable and sticky, but that's great for the plants. So perfect time to put these little baby plants out, and perfect time to sign off and do some other stuff. Yeah, I know my hat's awesome, isn't it? Great hat. It keeps my head a bit cool while keeping the sun off my face, which is the main thing. And so I'll be plugging that in regularly and keeping this whole area watered over summer. I don't know how much more rain we're going to get. Hopefully, you know, fingers crossed, we might get more rain, but I'm certainly not going to count on it. All right, thank you all so much for joining me again, and thank you so much for anybody who's new here. I'm Tina, and I'm a single mum, and this is my homestead-ish, farmish, permaculture-ish thing in Australia. So thank you very much for joining me, and I hope you'll come back and look at some other of my videos. And hooroo, it's hooroo from me, and it's hooroo from